Hi there, and welcome to No Joke Survival.
Preparations for the average family.
I'm Jason Hill.
And I'm James Blackburn.
And on this week's episode, we're going to discuss electricity.
Yes, or the lack thereof.
The lack thereof. What happens if all of a sudden the power goes out? And there's a lot of things to consider when that happens.
Yep.
And one of the things that we're going to talk about is some of the items that you might not think of that you're going to lose. What are you going to lose when the power goes out? It's not just lights.
Right, well, lights is the most obvious one, but you can also lose your source of heat for your home. Obviously.
Which would be a huge factor in the wintertime.
Yep.
If you that's your only heat source. If you don't have a fireplace or something, losing your heat is going to be a big deal.
Yeah, and in some parts of this world, it's so cold that could literally be a deadly thing. So
it can.
Yep.
Temperature, maintaining your body temperature, and hypothermia sets in. It's a quick killer.
Yep.
And so, with that in mind, having blankets and extra warm gear in case that happens is always a big plus.
Yep, which is where the sleeping bags really come in handy, not just for camping. If you need them in an emergency situation, even in your home, it would really help out a lot.
Yep.
Now, another thing that you lose the ability to do is cook when there's no power. A lot of times, that is a big issue.
Yeah, if you have an electric range. Now, a lot of people do have gas stoves, and that's great. But for those that have an electric stove, then yeah, you've lost your power to cook, but you've also lost your power to purify water, which if you're in the survival mode, you'll need to do. And so you have to think about what backups do we have that will allow us to cook. Do you
Very
have
true.
A propane grill out in the yard?
Yes, I do. I have a grill in the back, as
Well,
well
why
as
don't
our
you bring
camp
it?
stoves. Well, I'll bring it next time.
Cook up some steaks.
Well, and speaking of grilling, another thing when you lose power is you lose your ability to store food with electronic devices such as a refrigerator or a freezer. And we were talking about that on another episode that, you don't have power, keep that refrigerator and freezer door closed as long as possible.
That's right.
So that you can keep that coolness in there as long as you can until either A, the power comes back on, or B, you eat everything that's in there before it spoils.
That's right. And you want to start with the refrigerator because obviously those items are going to spoil quicker. So open it up, grab some food, close it, eat up those items. Then you can go to the freezer items. And another little trick in your freezer is, as you're reducing the amount, is to pack them all close to each other because they maintain their core temperature.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to being spread out in the freezer.
Yeah, they help to insulate one another and keep frozen longer.
Yeah.
Now, another thing we lose when we lose power, can't wash our laundry.
That's true.
And that falls under the sanitation thing of the 6 core areas that we talked about on previous episodes. Cleanliness, it's very important.
It's really important. And a lot of the things that we're discussing are for extended crises or natural disasters. Most people can get by for a day or two, but if you had to go 2 weeks and you don't have any way of cleaning your clothes, etc., those are some things to think about.
And especially if you've worn them more than once or even several times, it could really start to have some issues with it.
Now, what's another thing that people take for granted with electricity when it comes to bathing?
Well,
the hot water.
Hot water heater. Yeah, that's true. I hadn't even thought about that. That is, even though it's gas powered to heat it up, it still needs electricity though too.
That's right. And so, if it is the dead of winter and the only water you have is freezing cold water, you have to be prepared to bathe or whatever you're going to do and dry off quick and get warm again.
And guys like us, we've bathed in really cold streams and rivers, so we're kind of prepared for it, but the average person may be a little bit of a shock.
Yeah.
Another thing, too, about losing power is you lose the ability for communication.
How are you going to get your news? How are you going to get updates about what's going on, Those things are all important. And so when we come back, we're going to focus on a lot of those items. What can you do when your electricity goes out? What are some different alternate power sources that you can use? We're also going to have a special guest joining us, and we're going to get some insight on that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And
tune back after the break because, like you said, we have a special guest, and we're really looking forward to it as well.
Yeah, this is going to be great. So yeah, the food, so many people.
Yeah, exactly.
And hi, welcome back to No Joke Survival.
Preparations for the average family.
I'm Jason Hill.
I'm James Blackburn. Welcome.
Welcome. And what we're talking about is electricity and the loss of it in case of a natural disaster or crisis.
And in the last segment, we talked about a lot of variety of things that can happen as a result of not having the electricity. But now I think we can focus a little bit more on some of the techniques that we can use for this sort of emergency situation.
Sure, sure. How are you going to stay warm? How are you going to have communications? All those types of things are really important, especially to have them in place before something happens.
Exactly, which brings us to the first thing on the list that's the most common thing you get asked about not having electricity is the lack of light. Now, during the daytime, it doesn't matter that much, but when it gets night out and there's no electricity and no street lights, you'll find out what the true meaning of darkness is.
That's right.
And so, what are some of the techniques or tools that we can use that are non-electrical?
Well, there's the old standby candles. Having candles and matches, they burn for a long time. They give just enough light to where you can maneuver, but not sending out this huge signal. Flashlights and batteries. Having extra batteries for those flashlights because you don't know how long your electricity is going to be out.
Yes, that's very true. And another thing that is a common thing from the old pioneer days is the oil lantern.
Correct.
And I actually have one over here. Let me
You want to grab that real quick?
I'll show it to you. Now these, this one's a little bit older and beaten, but the idea is solid that you can use this for light, provided you have the fuel for it.
Correct, and those work off of kerosene. There's also oil lamps that are similar, and you can go to your local department store and they sell these big bottles of the oil, and it burns pretty clean and provides a lot of light.
Yep, and our pioneer ancestors used this technique almost exclusively.
Hey!
Hey guys! Looks like we're talking about light right
Yes.
at the moment. Well, I have our special guest here with us, and Josh, you want to come on in? This is Josh. I'm gonna go keep working on the.
Come on over here, Josh.
So
Hey there.
I'm gonna be coming back here in just a few, so I'll leave the three of you alone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Danny.
Danny Lansky, our co-host.
Yes, round of applause.
Round of applause.
Yay.
So, welcome. Why don't you tell us your full name and the troop that you're with?
All right, well, my name is Joshua Leininger, and I'm with Troop 166 in New Mexico.
Fantastic. And how do you like the Boy Scouts? It looks like you're really accomplished.
Well, I mean, Boy Scouts is a wonderful thing to get involved with. It helps you outdoors and indoors. It helps you get active with the people around you and be able to understand different things that the average person might not know.
That's right. And you do a lot of stuff with the community as well, which is another
Yes.
aspect that's fantastic. Now, we're discussing, before James tears apart everything here, but we're discussing some ways that with the lights, if the lights went out, some alternate light sources. But heat is going to be another big one.
All right.
What do you think might be some good ideas for generating heat if all of a sudden the electricity goes out?
All right, well, the first thing that I would recommend is a sleeping bag during the night, especially because of the fact that the degrees, especially in New Mexico or any other place that you are at, it will get colder and it will become a much greater disadvantage to many people.
Sure, the temperature can drop 30 degrees really quick here.
Oh yeah. And then the second thing that I would prefer is maybe a blanket as well. Those things will keep you real warm and real cozy during the night and even during the day if it's cold enough. During the winter especially, it's good to have some sort of a propane heater or something of the sort that you can also refuel.
That's right. And you want to be careful with fumes with some of these sources. So like if you have a barbecue grill, you don't want to just pull it in your house and light it up because those fumes can get to you.
Yeah.
And then as far as the blankets, wool blankets are really good because they have a high insulation factor. And even if they get wet, they still insulate you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
definitely.
Now, we talked a little bit about light and heat. is there anything in particular that you do around your house as far as preparations go to, in case something happened?
Well, the main thing that I would really recommend is to have wool socks in the drawers or whatever. Those will really help keep you warm, especially since a lot of the heat that you produce goes through your feet. It'll help keep you warmer during the night. Another thing that I would recommend is probably somewhere close to, once again, like a propane heater or something of the sort. That way, if the power does go out or anything of the sort, you can be able to have that and be able to stay warm throughout the house.
Do you have a fireplace in your home?
No, I do not.
No, a lot of people do, and that's a good way
Yeah.
to not only generate heat, but to be able to have a way of cooking and for purifying or boiling that water that you're going to need during a crisis situation. But you have to have the fuel for it. So sometime during, you got to stockpile that wood and go out there and, you know,
definitely.
and chop up the wood.
Definitely.
Now, communication is going to be another big factor. And so radios that are hand crank radios or solar,
Definitely.
those are good. Do you have one at your house?
Yes, I do.
Fantastic.
Right.
I love it. Boy Scout motto is?
Be prepared.
Love it. And that's what this is all about, is having these items in your home are ready to go before something happens.
Yes,
so that
definitely.
you have a little bit of peace of mind. You're not panicking, you know.
Definitely expect the unexpected, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. So what other items might you need if the power goes out? Well, what else is it going to affect?
Well,
Your
trying
peace
to
of
remember. Yeah, peace
your,
of mind.
your peace of
definitely.
mind.
Yeah.
You know, we rely so heavily on light that having something, even as simple as a glow stick. Do you take glow sticks when you go
Yes,
camping?
I do.
They're a lot of fun, huh?
Yeah, they're real fun to play with, and they provide a source of light.
You know what's really cool is getting a camera with slow exposure and
Oh, yeah.
drawing words with them.
Yeah.
I do that on my camping trips.
Yeah, that's a good
awesome.
survival
You never
technique.
gets old, huh?
Yeah, and like you said, peace of mind. If you're in an emergency situation and you can have a moment where you can actually have a lighthearted, fun time, then it may actually make the situation a lot nicer.
That's right. You got to remain calm even in a stressful situation. Would you agree?
Definitely. Yes, I do agree.
All right. Now, we talked a little bit about flashlights, and one of the fun things that we're going to do in our next segment is we're going to have a competition. And
All
I'm
right.
hoping you're going to join in, but we're going to assemble a flashlight blindfolded.
All right.
And so we're
Sounds like
going to
fun.
assume that the lights went out and you had soap in your eyes from the shower,
Okay.
and then you stumble over to your closet where you know you have your stuff, and for some reason one of your family members disassembled them, you know, and that's going to...
Well, there you go.
Oh.
That's what I have.
Hey.
I have our beginner's box. How about you come over here? And
Beginner's
All
box,
right.
beginner's box.
Beginner's box!
Sounds wonderful.
So, and normally the stuff in the beginner's box stays in the box, but this was just entertaining. So the beginner's box of this episode is to really show all the items that you need for when the power goes out, electricity, whatnot.
All right.
And so one thing, this is actually the last thing that I ended up putting in there. I saw these in the back and I thought, you know, we need some candles. So I'd say number one is candles. To
Definitely.
really have, that way you can read your book, do whatever. My mom collects oil lamps, and so I mean we have so much light if the power ever goes out that it's, oh, you don't ever need to worry. And she's gotten me into that habit of collecting
Having
as well.
something is better than nothing.
Exactly. And so next we have in these two Ziploc bags, as I know that we're going to get into a contest later. Pretend these are put together, but these are flashlights.
Those are disassembled
Actually,
flashlights.
You know what? There it is. Would you grab me that orange flashlight if you want to? Everyone should know what a flashlight looks like, but you know,
Yeah, there you
all
go.
put
This is
together,
actually a symbol
but-
flashlight that works.
Yes, and there are
it's-
different kinds of flashlights as well. And there it is. There it is. This one here. Do you want to show us what that guy is?
This is just a solar flashlight. It's got just a little solar panel built into it, and you leave this out in the sun all day long, and then
Ideally, you don't want to do that, and then you're seeing stars when there's no light.
But yeah, these are really great because you can tie it onto your backpack or something if you're out hiking, or just set it on a windowsill. It'll charge, and then all night long you have some light. LEDs, they last a long time,
Yeah.
and you have a renewable source of energy as long as the sun's shining.
Yep. And if you don't have, a solar powered, and you have just regular flashlights, what you should always have in the box are batteries. Whatever batteries that your flashlight takes, you got to have it, because then you're just completely out of luck without any kind of battery.
That's right.
And so I think I'm going to, we have what looks like almost a little otter pop or something. A little
Glow stick.
Glow
Glow
stick.
stick.
Yeah. I think I'm going to hand that to you.
Sounds
Our
fun.
favorites.
Yes. Not just a party favor. But this guy, holy cow, is quite complicated. Excuse me. I'm going to, hand this over here.
Oh, this is just a portable solar panel. These are great because you can charge things, and they have all these little attachments. And so I actually have my ham radio, and I'm licensed, and so I have a form of communication if electricity or power goes out, or my cell phone. And so I can charge this with the attachments. I can also charge batteries as long as I have sun.
Yep.
And it's renewable, so I'll always have communication. I'll always have light from the charged batteries.
Yep.
And it's really lightweight. They're just a great thing to have.
Yeah. Well, and that's a really interesting point, as you mentioned, if you don't have a cell phone, whatnot. A lot of folks nowadays have, a car charger for their cell phone, which is great. But if you're the one, sorry sucker with the 200-year-old tree in your front yard that takes out your car, you might not have that car
Right,
battery
definitely.
to charge your cell
that's
phone
really
with.
neat.
So it's good to have these different items just
Yep.
in case.
That ham radio, is that ham and cheese?
But
This is just a ham radio. But stick with us. When we come back from the break, we're going to have our competition, and we're going to see whether James or our scout are going to assemble this flashlight the quickest. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have them blindfolded.
Yep.
Ready for this. Should get a timer.
Better watch
for
out.
this.
Hi, welcome back to No Joke Survival.
Preparations for the average family.
I'm Jason Hill,
I'm James Blackburn.
Danny Linsky.
and
Josh.
Yes. One names are the best names.
Right?
Josh, take that.
kind of like
Yeah, there you
Beyonce. He's got a movie
Enough
star
said.
now.
Enough said.
So in this episode, we were talking about electricity or lack thereof. When the power goes out, some things that you could do to stay warm, to have communication, to maintain your food, which is going to go bad, and all those good things. But I wanted to talk real quick to you about what
right.
you're doing, because you're almost an Eagle Scout.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I have a lot of respect for the Boy Scouts. I grew up in it as well. And so tell us a little bit about the community service project you're doing.
All right, well, an Eagle Scout project basically consists of giving community service for the others and being able to help the needy. So what I decided to do is, since I live in Harris, New Mexico, I decided to figure out what was in there and try to get around the community a little bit. So I called around, and I finally hooked up with one of my troop members, and he told me about a group called Route 66 Community Gardens. And from there, they asked me a whole bunch of different stories, and after a little while, I figured out that they were in need of a shed. So I decided
Sweet.
to get in and get busy, and so now we have, we almost have enough money to raise the shed, and then we'll have all the materials and be able to build that. It also helps with the school that they have there as well. It helps the kids get into a better environmental activity, and just helps them with their gardening skills and
Nice.
getting out there and getting busy.
Are you going to be swinging the hammer, actually helping build the shed?
Well, I mean, my part is just to stand back and take a look at things and help out the guys.
That's
You
a true
delegate,
leader
yeah,
right there. I'm going to
exactly,
delegate
exactly.
Awesome.
You
Well,
just
nice
make sure
job.
point.
it. So,
Oh, yeah,
so being
definitely.
with the Boy Scouts, who's like the leader of like all the Boy Scouts?
All the Boy Scouts,
Yeah.
the entire nation.
Yeah.
Well,
Isn't it some famous TV guy?
something or other. I mean, the guy that I know most well for me in my troop, he leads the troop very well. His name is Kurt.
Oh, no, I'm talking about worldwide. Who's the head of the Boy Scouts
Well,
worldwide?
Well, he meets
one
them
I
every other
do not
day.
know.
Bear Grylls, right?
Bear Grylls.
Well,
Do you ever watch them?
yes, I do from time to time.
Great, great. Well, one of the nice things about this show is that Gerber sent us a bunch of stuff that we could use on the show. And I was thinking that since you're out in the wilderness and you're doing Boy Scout stuff and camping, that you need to have some good tools. And so I just happen to have here the Bear Grylls Ultimate Survival Knife, which is yours. And we want to
Wow.
thank you very much for being on the
Thank
show and for the
Thank you
work that
very
you're
much.
doing with the community. It's fantastic, and we're all about promoting that.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you
So,
so
you're
much.
well
on your
I
way.
appreciate it.
Now, competition. We have a competition coming up. We should get that started. So
All right.
we're
Yeah.
going to have you go against James.
Pop this out here for now.
Now,
Alright.
you notice we're putting on blindfolds. This is to make it seem like we have no electricity and it's the middle of the night and it's dark.
Blind.
So here we go.
Ruh-roh.
All right, here we go.
You know, with that said, I think I'm going to come on the outside, and if you want to step to the right a little bit, that way,
Okay.
you might actually be able
I can't
to
see nothing.
catch. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
here
let's
I'm trying to
see
take
this.
stuff out. Do they want to pull it
Okay,
straight
hold
out
on.
from the bag, or do we want to
Yeah.
take it out for them?
No, no, no. We're going to let them go all by themselves. This is
Alright.
going to be a
Okay.
riot, I think. So, on your mark, get set, go.
All right,
Wow, he's already got half the
get a
stuff out.
feel for this piece.
You know, the really...
Man,
Oh,
Something
going.
fell.
we'll be the if anything falls, we'll catch it for you so you don't hit your head on the top of the table.
the really nice thing about this is they haven't
Huh.
seen these flashlights prior
Yep.
to this, so this is completely, you know, just random. I'm loving this. And dun 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 dun
But
dun.
I'm missing something. There we go.
This is great.
Oh, there it is. Did I lose the battery?
Maybe.
You know, the fun thing is
Hold
to see
on.
if they put the batteries
I don't
even
want to
in
accidentally
correctly.
grab you
Yeah,
in the
see if
I'm
the
waiting
light
to see
works.
if that even turns on. We will see. Oh,
Is it
well,
working?
hey.
Oh, I got light.
dang, within
Was it a
seconds,
tie?
Within seconds of each other.
Awesome.
That's pretty darn
All
close.
right,
That
good
was
job.
Awesome. Sorry, but he still gets the knife. I
All right,
suppose.
take
But
the
you can
blindfolds
tell,
off.
but-
Well, it's a lot brighter in here now, ain't it?
Well, that was fantastic. I'm super impressed because,
I thought this was going to take twice as long.
you know, I mean, these flashlights are fairly easy.
Mm-hmm.
To, you know, most people have used one before, but to just walk right in and not ever touch it and get it together and we're good.
Way to show them up. Well, and these flashlights are perfect as well, as we were talking earlier about making sure that you're able to light your home. It's always good to have something, you know, by your bed or whatnot, because it always seems that it's dark when the
Oh, yeah,
power goes
definitely.
out, you know. And so if you have something by your bed, my family would always have one in the bathroom as well, you know, just in case. And that way you have something that you always know you keep it in the same spot, you know.
And that's an awesome point, is you don't know when the electricity is going to go out or what part of the home you're going to be in. So having an area staged with all your candles and batteries, your beginner's box items, to where everyone knows where that's at. And then in addition to that, have a flashlight like next to your bed to where you can navigate to wherever that closet is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And always knowing where it's at is just critical.
Yep. And ideally, I mean, you wouldn't really want to try and put a flashlight together blindfolded, but you know, if you
Yeah.
ever have that opportunity, you know, I should say the incident is probably a better word for it, where you go to grab for your flashlight and somebody didn't, you know, screw it on properly, and you grab for it and you hear thunk, thunk, thunk. Oh no! So this,
Yeah.
you might want to practice it at home, ladies and gents. I mean, this is
Yeah.
testament that it shouldn't be too hard, but
Great.
you never know.
Well, it's never a bad idea to have a flashlight in the main rooms that you have in your house. A lot of people spend a lot of time in the kitchen. I always keep an extra flashlight in there as well.
Yeah.
And the same thing, like you said, right next to the bed.
this is
a
a-
good idea.
Fantastic episode. Danny, you want to tell folks how they can find out about us?
absolutely.
over here.
Oh,
With
take the
that,
master spot.
Take the center.
Right in the center of camera. She's
All right.
special.
Well, if you would like to know more about us, follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/NoJokeSurvival. There you can shoot us any questions if you wanted to know anything more about some of the items that we used. You can also visit our website at nojokesurvival.com. There you can find links for our videos to YouTube. And so come back next week, hope you do, when we discuss what to do when you want to work on food storage.
Food storage.
Yes, food storage.
And check out your local community if you want to
Sounds
find
good.
out more about the Boy Scouts.
Well, so there you go.
Good job,
Thanks.
guys. That's a nice
This
episode.
is awesome, man.
And in some of these other ones right here, we have things falling on the ground. Oh, I think I may have wet myself a little bit.
If you're up on a mountain, you may want to go down into a valley, or observe the area. Some lime.
Oh my God, what is that? What is that, dude? I
Probably a Sasquatch. They're all over the place.
this is important. You don't want to wipe your backside with something that might be poisonous.
What you want to do is literally just sit down and listen.
I kind of blew my way through there pretty badly. There was a lot of outtakes. It's back, dude! It's back! Ah! Where is it? There it goes!
That's awesome. You never know what you're gonna find in the wild. I love it. Or some sort of area where you're gonna find people and be rescued.
Oh, man, that hurts! Now for a blooper.
I literally got cancer. While I was talking, I could feel it crawling down my butt crack.
Welcome. I'm Jason Hill.
I'm James Blackburn.
And I'm Danny Lenski.
And this is, keep playing.
I'll bring it back out
No
later.
Joke Survival.
Preparations for the average family.
I'm the singer and I don't want to.
This is the musical episode.
Yes.
And this week's episode is going to be on finding food. And so in our first segment, we kind of briefly go over why it's so important to either have the knowledge or the skills to find food.
Well, as far as finding food, you can think, just harken back to humanity's earliest days. You have hunters, gatherers, and so it's, finding food isn't just finding plants, it's also knowing the animals around that you yourself are able to hunt.
Very true. Matter of fact, I wrote a little song about it.
Okay?
Oh, all right, well,
Which is
already
why I
busting
put
that
the
back.
guitar away so I could have an excuse to bring it back out.
Okay.
All right, it goes a little something like this. Okay, thank you.
That was moving.
Yeah, that was the best song I've ever written. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you kindly.
You were a scholar.
So let's get back to types of food. What do you think about that?
Yes.
Well, there's obviously animals. And so in our area, I think about rabbits, snakes, fish,
Squirrels.
deer, squirrels, bugs, insects.
Yeah, we've all seen the shows where eating a
Worms.
slug or a worm
Yeah.
is acceptable way for nutrition. Obviously, it may not taste so good, but
It'll keep you alive.
yeah, exactly. Have you ever eaten one, Jason?
I have, yeah. Worms, I've eaten worms, bugs, grasshoppers,
Nice.
and they taste pretty nasty. But you know what?
But you gotta do what you gotta do.
In a survival situation, So
Well, and you might also, I mean, you can be around 100 elk, but if you don't have the means to hunt it or know how to hunt it, the way I was taught, more importantly, if you don't know how to properly dress it afterwards, it's just, just as if you didn't have the skills at all or if the animal wasn't even there. So
yeah, all these things tie together, and again, it goes to educating yourself. This show is just kind of a jump-off point where we cover some basics, but then you got to go out and get more knowledge about
your
these
hands
things
dirty.
because there's too much to possibly
Yeah.
cover.
Well, and even on previous episodes, we said the knowledge is out there on the internet. If you don't have internet, there's tons of books and libraries that still exist in this country. So get out there and learn some more, right?
That's it. So besides animals, you also have the plant kingdom for all those people who maybe not have the skills. So then what's in your area? What can you eat, foraging through the woods or in your neighborhood?
Right.
Well, and it's, again, especially if you've just moved to an area, you might think, all right, well, I know that acorns you can eat but you have to cook them a little bit. But then when you're in the Southwest, when there are no acorn trees, I mean, you might then learn that yucca blossoms are edible, but then obviously you have to wait till they're in bloom. But
Which leads to seasons. Again, both with animals and with plants, in wintertime, they're normally a lot more scarce. And so depending on the season, and I guarantee that whatever natural disaster you're planning for, it'll hit in the worst possible
the worst
time.
possible time.
And it'll make things even more worse. So
Well, something as far as mentioning the season as well, just touching on something other than plants and animals is like honey is a great example. And bees store more honey than they can possibly use over the winter, and it's a fact. So if you worry, I'm going to kill all the bees by taking their honey, if you end up harvesting in the wintertime, you're much more, I guess, able to set your worries aside. So
Very
Yeah.
true. And honey is one of those magical things that is so nutritious and so good. And we don't make it. The bees make it for us.
and
I mean,
it doesn't
it's
go
amazing.
bad. I love honey.
Yes.
It also has some healing properties. When we come back, we're going to have a guest speaker, and he'll be able to elaborate on that. But honey nut doesn't spoil. It just lasts forever.
That's true.
Longer than our lifetime, that's for sure.
like cookies.
And it tastes yummy with some
Yes, it
toast
does.
Yes,
and
it
butter.
does.
Yes, honey goes
Well,
good on just about
And you
everything.
can also eat the honeycomb as well. I mean, there's different ways of having honey. But I mean, I imagine our guests will talk about anything and everything, plants and animals.
That's right.
So-
So stay tuned. When we come back from the break, we're going to go more in depth about how you can find food in case of a natural disaster.
It's going to be great.
I love the breaks, by the way.
I know.
Thanks, guys.
Play us a song.
Yeah. Play it.
Let's hear it.
Outro song. So here we go. Ready and
Howdy, and welcome back to No Joke Survival.
preparations for the average family.
I'm Jason,
And I'm James.
and this week's episode we're talking about how to find food, and that includes not only animals or game,
Yep.
wild plants and herbs, insects, honey.
Yep,
all
there's a
kinds of
whole
good stuff.
variety of stuff, which brings us up to our guest.
Yes, we have a guest speaker, and so we can holler for Danny to bring him in, and then he can elaborate on some of these things.
Hello.
Danny!
Ah, all right. Well, we have our guest. This is Dave Perry, and
Hello, guys. Hi,
Welcome,
Jason.
Dave.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to get to
Are
know
you guys dancing or what?
I apparently am. I need to finish the beginner's box. I think I'm everywhere today. I will see you shortly.
All right,
See you.
thank you,
Thanks,
Danny. And why don't you go ahead and tell everyone your name and a little bit about yourself.
All right. My name is Dave Perry. I am a local herbalist. I've been working with plants for both food and medicine for about the last 12 years. And for more information about what I'm doing, because I do lead local walks to teach people about plants, my website is www.creativepreppers.com.
CreativePreppers.com.
Very cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, when the apocalypse hits, I'm at Dave's house. So everyone will
Well,
come
we'll
to my
head
house.
to the hills and we'll go find plants up in the hills.
So, we're talking about let's touch on the animals and local game and things like that. You know, do you have any thoughts on that? What's available in this area or what's good to eat?
Well, so now there may be a lot more available than I think. If there's a real crisis, that's the first thing people are going to look for. They're going to go try and hunt squirrels and rabbits. And I think that population is going to be decimated. But, you know, there's still some be available. So you'll want to either know how to build a snare trap, or you're more than likely not going to want to be pulling out a gun and shooting things, because that's going to draw attention to yourself.
Yeah.
So some small traps, which we want to look at in the
Beginner's box.
in the beginner's box. And you can have those stored away and bring them out and use them for catching small animals.
And
Yeah.
what about different types of edible plants that exist, well, in pretty much anywhere, but in particular where we're at?
Right. So in our area, it's a varied area. So you have real dry areas. There's some areas where you may have some natural springs. So you'll find some things like mint. There's some peppermint, spearmint growing up in the hills. Cactus blooms. You can eat the fruit off the cactus. There's also a lot of old homesteads where they planted apple trees, apricots, and you can find those up in the mountains if you know where to look.
Nice. Yeah, forage around and find some of that stuff.
Right.
And that cactus fruit, like in our area, that's real popular. People make jellies out of that. So they could reference our canning and preserving episode and make some cactus jelly.
Yeah.
Now, on the cactus, on the fruit part, obviously that's edible, but what about the prickly pear pad itself? I see those in the store as well.
Right. So you can, once you get the spines off of them, you can either scrape them or cook them, put them in
Fire.
some hot water or fire. Yeah.
Burn them off.
Yeah. You scrape off the outer skin and the inner skin. It is edible. You don't want to eat too much of it. But it's also used as you can use it as a poultice for skin rashes or cuts or things like that. So it's something similar to aloe vera, which you might find.
Nice, so it has a double purpose in a lot of ways.
Nice.
Right. And
So-
you'll find a lot of plants have that
Cool.
capability.
You know, pine needle seems to be a popular one, and dandelions, things that people have heard of. What are your thoughts on those?
Pine needles are a great source of vitamin C.
Okay.
So you can pull them off the branch. The best ones are where they're a light green. They're just coming out like in the springtime. But really throughout the year, you can use them, put them in a cup and pour hot water on them and just make tea. So
Throw in some of that mint, and
Yeah.
you
You
got a
got
nice
something
little-
tasty.
Right.
So have you drank some of the pine needle broth, or whatever you would call it? I mean, what does it taste like? Does it taste like how a pine tree smells?
Yeah. It has a somewhat minty taste, but also because it smells kind of like pine sol, you know, a cleaning solution.
That's where you want to find some stevia, the natural sugar, and throw that in there.
But
Flavor it
yeah,
up a
back
little
to
bit.
your mints. Throw a little extra mint in there, and that'll help make it a little bit more palatable.
Nice.
Nice, very cool. We should go try that when we go camping.
Yeah, we need to do a foraging.
Foraging episode, yeah, that'd be great.
And so those plants, some of them also can be used for medicines as well.
Right.
which
You
kinda serve
mentioned
a dual
dandelion,
purpose.
and that's one of the great plants because you can use all parts of it: the root, the leaf, the flower, the stem. It's good for putting in salads, so you can add to your eating it. It brings up minerals from the ground, so it's a good source of natural minerals. And it's also good for digestion. So people make wine out of it, dandelion wine, you've heard of that.
Yeah.
But dandelion tea, and those are both good for if you have indigestion, stomach upset, you know, it'll help with that.
And dandelions seem to be a common plant all around the country, right? I mean, every
does.
state I've ever been in, I've experienced them there. Now, on the dandelion, is there a certain part you should eat, or can you eat the whole thing?
You can eat the whole thing.
Roots and all?
Roots and all. Roots have been used as a coffee substitute, along with chicory. So they'll pull the roots out, dry them, cut them up, and then use it in a tea or a coffee type drink.
Now, we touched on this in the first segment. Depending on the weather, the season, even your location,
Right.
game and or plants may not even be available. And so it kind of harkens back to the days where, we lived off the land and you had goats and chickens and you had your own livestock, you made cheese and butter and, it was all done on the farm. You had it yourself. You grew your own crops, you canned them for the winter, things like that. What might be something that you could grow fairly quickly? Because if it's the middle of the winter, obviously I can't just run outside and grow crops.
Right. Well, one of the things that most people don't think about, when they think seeds, you got to put them in the ground and let them grow, and it'll take weeks or months. We can actually sprout seeds, and within 3 to 5 days, you've got something that's edible, like alfalfa sprouts that they put on sandwiches.
Nice.
That's
Those are good.
something quick, good, give you vitamin C, and help fill up your stomach, if you don't have a lot of food.
Sweet.
Excellent.
Well, we can go into a little bit more detail. I know you have some items in the beginner's box that you brought. So let's go ahead and bring Danny out and we can go through those.
Danny.
Sounds good.
Oh, and she must have been eavesdropping.
I
because-
was. I do that.
And I didn't get to call you. I was like, my Danny.
Oh, hang on. Let's try it again. Hang on.
Danny!
Danny!
Beginner's box. Beginner's
All
box.
right. So we have the beginner's box. So something to kind of touch on first up, I'm going to kind of go and pull all of these out at once here. But we have different books here. I mean, again, education is everything. You can have a book on, this one here is about herbal medicine of the Southwest. Again, you want to make sure that you have something that's in your area so you can educate yourself. Then you have medicinal plants of the Mountain West, actually.
This author, Michael Moore, is very well known for his knowledge of plants in the Southwest. So
Okay.
if
He
you're
knows his
living in
stuff.
this area, I would say you need that on your bookshelf.
Nice. Ah, this one, a really great one. And it's nice, short, concise, edible wild plants.
Right.
That way you can just kind of take quick thumb through. That way if you're camping elsewhere.
Let me show you something about this. What I do is I put plants inside of these. So
Great idea.
I find the particular plant, the picture, and I take a sample and put it dried in. It'll dry in there.
Very cool. Yeah.
Practice
Way
and
easier to
education.
identify when you already
Exactly.
have one.
Then, that one's actually very specific there for our area.
Right.
Just a lot more of the same. This guy here that's bursting out of my box, I am actually not sure of what this is, so I'm gonna turn this over to you if you
Okay,
wanna.
so this is
let us
called
know.
a survival seed bank. Inside, so this is waterproof. You can seal it up, make it airtight, so the seeds would last a long time in there. And these seeds, like this is an eggplant seed, so this is hermetically sealed. Seeds will generally last in a dry, cool area 3 to 5 years. You don't put these things away for 20 years because then they're not going to grow. But think about that. 3 to 5 years, you got to plant these and then collect the seeds from them and just keep propagating, keep
Well,
growing.
and this is nice because then you know exactly where your stuff is. You don't think, oh, I'm going to put my seeds up here today. I'm going to put my seeds
Right.
over here today.
They're all together in one
The
place.
other nice things are fairly inexpensive and you can get a wide variety.
Right.
So
Yeah,
you
that's
wanna have-
really cool.
So this, actually, as we just had an episode on canning, and you can tell this has been properly canned. This is wormwood, and I am not nearly as familiar with wormwood as I know that you are, so
Really, not
take
at
it
all,
away,
huh? So you'll see this a liquid in here. This is called a tincture. And what we did was we filled this jar up with wormwood, which grows in the local mountains here. And you pour in alcohol. Usually you want something like 80 proof or so. You let it set for 4 to 6 weeks. And what the alcohol does is it extract out the chemical constituents and the
goodness.
things that you want in it.
Right.
All
then
your
you strain it out.
scientific terms.
That's what
Yes.
alcohol
The goodness.
does, takes out the goodness.
Goodness, yeah.
And wormwood, as you might guess, is actually good for intestinal worms. So
Oh.
if you have,
Hence the name.
yeah, hence that's the common name.
So we have
cool.
a few other items, and this one, actually, this and this are both the same, and this is also good for.
It's a tincture.
It's another tincture.
Yeah, this is another tincture, and this is how you'd normally see them stored in a stopper bottle. So what you do is you take, fill up the
Well, and when we
filler.
Yeah, and I apologize, but when we come back, we're gonna have us a little contest. We're gonna watch a quick video, and we might be able to touch on this again. So thank you very much. And
We'll see you in a little bit. So this is just more seeds.
those are the
Looks like.
Right.
sprouts. Hi there. Now you may find yourself in a survival situation where you're going to have to find something to eat because you have no food. Now depending on what region of the country you are, there's a lot of different types of edible plants that you can in fact eat. Right now I'm going to demonstrate a dandelion. Dandelion is very common for the parts that you can eat on it. The leaves you can make like a salad. I believe you can boil them, but you can also eat these little yellow tops. But it's very critical whenever you are eating things that are out in the wild that you can correctly identify them 100%, and so that you're not taking any chances. Raspberries, wild strawberries, things like that, those are also really good. But this little top here is completely edible. And because I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat a bunch of them. It's kind of fragrant, little tangy flavor, but it's not bad. You could actually eat a bunch of these. And yeah. I hear they go really good with ranch dressing, but I don't have any, so. That one. So anyway, the demonstration is just to show you that if you can correctly identify these items, that might just save your life. So learn your local plants. There's lots of professionals in your area that will be willing to teach, and may just save your life. Thanks a lot. Welcome back to No Joke Survival.
Preparations for the average family.
He's James.
He's Jason.
He's Dave.
And she is Danny.
Hey, that actually worked. Yeah, that was kind of a funny little video, eating some dandelions.
Yeah,
and
that was great.
we touched on it a little bit, but do you want to go into a little more depth about those? Because they're really common.
They are common, and we were talking a little while ago about how common and widespread they are because they'll take any disturbed soil. And the reason is they're called a dynamic accumulator. So they pull minerals and stuff out of the soil.
Wow.
Say
That's
that
what
three
makes
times
them
fast.
Yeah.
Wait.
A dynamic accumulator. Fantastic. But so is it common to cook them or eat them raw or?
People do them both ways.
Yeah.
You can fry up the flowers as you were eating them, and you can pull the leaves off and put them in with a salad to give it a little extra tangy taste with normal lettuce.
Nice.
Well, there are a number of festivals, actually, dandelion festivals. I think the largest one is in West Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. And the saying be, if you can't beat them, eat them, because they do grow everywhere.
Right.
And so,
They probably have hundreds of ways
Yep.
of fixing dandelion.
That's true. A lot
Nice.
of people look at a dandelion as a weed, but really it's very edible
Yep.
and it's not a weed at all.
Can you go into real quick these sprouts? You were talking about those.
Yeah.
And how long do those take to grow again?
3 to 5 days.
3 to 5 days.
3 days you can have
Dang.
something to eat. This particular one is called a protein powerhouse sprouting blend. So it's got like a
Sounds
zucchini
amazing.
bean, garbanzo, mung beans. So you think about
wow.
animals having protein, but you can actually get some protein from seeds like these.
And just drop them in water and stick them in the windowsill, right?
Right?
That's amazing. And where can you find these?
Just about any health food
Online.
store.
Yeah.
Health food store.
Health food
Amazon,
stores.
but yeah, health food stores generally carry sprouting seeds for
Wow.
people use them for their salads.
That's pretty cool.
Nice. So for our contest today, you've got some edible plant cards, and you're going to show them to us. Me and James are going to try to guess what they are, what they're used for, where they're from, and
I'm gonna tally.
you can give points however you feel like.
All right, you ready for your first
Yeah,
card?
let's see it.
Take a look at that.
That is bamboo, and it grows in Canada, and it's used for making boats.
That
would
looks
be-
like
Okay,
cattails, and it's good for eating and stuff.
I have to give it to Jason.
Yay! I give you a
Cattails, exactly what it
negative
is.
one.
Cattails.
It is, the roots are edible, and the fuzzy things that you see on the top, that's good for insulation. So if you
yeah.
need to keep yourself warm, pull that stuff off and fluff it
Another
out.
great
And
survival
kindling.
tip.
Nice,
Right.
very cool. I was not that far off, I guess.
No, I mean bamboo. You have sugar.
All right, ready for your next one?
Yep.
Here it is.
Good.
Okay, that one is aloe vera, but I knew that from earlier. And it is used for making juice and other things, right?
I think so. Yeah,
Right.
aloe vera. I know you can just break off a little piece and use it to put on a wound. It aids with healing. And I've known it to be good for sunburns as what.
Right, burns, it's great for burns, sunburns, or a hot pot, or a fire burn, things like that.
Nice.
And a lot of people have them just growing ornamentally in their house, so, you
And
know.
they take very little effort and have two lovely. So
Nice.
I think maybe both of y'all get one. So I
Yay.
guess now you're no longer in the negative. I gave you a
All
negative.
right,
Bamboo. Come on.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right, ready for your next one?
Yeah, and
Well, I think as you're looking at the picture, I'm going to have to let everyone know that if you want to find out more about us, see us on Facebook and at facebook.com/nojokesurvival, or you can visit our website at nojokesurvival.com. I think now we're cheating here. There you can find out more about our episodes. On Facebook, you can ask us specific questions, on where you can find different items. And so, what are we end up finding out on this?
this one
guy?
was thistle.
Thistle.
Yeah, me and James communicated telepathically,
Yeah, we
and we were just
Magic
confirming what
man.
we already knew.
Magic
See these a
man.
lot, these are like wild, like dandelions.
Well,
Come back and
come
see
back
us
and
next
see us.
time. Thanks
And
for joining us.
Thank you. So, by 1 point.
Wins again.
I'm the
winner. And some of these other ones right here, we have things falling on the ground. Oh, I think I may have wet myself a little bit.
If you're up on a mountain, you may want to go down into a valley, or observe the area. Some lime.
Oh my God, what is that? What is that, dude? I think
Probably a Sasquatch. They're all over the place.
this is important. You don't want to wipe your backside with something that might be poisonous.
What you want to do is literally just sit down and listen.
I kind of blew my way through there pretty badly. There was a lot of outtakes. It's back, dude! It's back! Ah! Where is it? There it goes!
That's awesome. You never know what you're going to find in the wild. I love it. Or some sort of area where you're going to find people and be rescued.
Oh, man, that hurts! And now for a blooper.
I literally got ants in my pants. While I was talking, I could feel them crawling down my butt crack.